Hi everyone. So in this video, we go over paper one from the 2022 National 5 Maths exam. So the first question is about fractions, and it says evaluate 2 over 3 times 1 over 5 plus 3 over 4. Give your answer in its simplest form. So we start by finding the stuff inside the brackets, because that's just BODMAS, so brackets come first. So 1 over 5 plus 3 over 4. And I'm just going to do it using the common denominator approach rather than the kiss and smile method. So we would times this one by 4 and this one by 5. So that would give 4 over 20 plus 15 over 20. And that becomes 4 plus 15 over 20. And then we just evaluate the fraction. So we can cancel a 2 from these numbers. And that would become 1 times 19 over 3 times 10. So 19 over 30. Okay, question 2. Given that f of x equals x cubed minus 2, evaluate f of minus 3. So f of minus 3 is simply plugging in x equals 3, x equals minus 3. So that would become minus 3 cubed minus 2. So minus 3 cubed is minus 27, because it's just minus 3 times minus 3 times minus 3. So that would be minus 29. And the reason it's minus, by the way, is because when you do minus 3 times minus 3, you get 9. And then times minus 3 again, that would be minus 27. Okay, question 3. The diagram below shows a cone with diameter 20 centimeters and height 60 centimeters. Calculate the volume of the cone and take pi equals 3.14. Right, so we're trying to find the volume of the cone. So the formula for volume of the cone is just, let me just change. I don't know what's happening. Okay, so the volume for the formula for volume of the cone is V equals 1 over 3 pi r squared h. And we're told to take pi is 3.14, so that would become 1 over 3 times, I'll just write dot for times, 3.14, and then times r squared h. And then we just plug in the values we're given. So the diameter is 20 centimeters. So the radius would be 10 centimeters because it's half the diameter. And then the height is 60 centimeters. So that would be 3.14 times 10 squared times 60. And then we can see that 3.14 times 100, that's just 100, would move the point twice to the right. So we end up with 314 times 60. And then we can see that 60 times 1 over 3 would just be 20, because that's essentially 60 over 1 times 1 over 3. And then you just do 1 times 60 over 3 times 1. So it would become 60 over 3. So that would be 20. So we end up with 314 times 20. And then we just work that out by multiplying by 2 and then by 10. So 314 times 2 is 628. And then we just stick a 0 at the end. So 6280. And that would be in centimeters cubed. Okay, question 4. The diagram below shows a circle with center O. AB is tangent to the circle at point C. CD is the diameter of the circle. Angle EOD is 68 degrees. Calculate the size of angle ACE. So angle ACE is this angle over here, and we're trying to find the size of that angle. So we can split it up into two separate angles. So this angle, we'll just use a different color. This angle over here, and then this angle over here. And if we can find each of those, we would just add them up, and that would give us the total. So let's start by finding this angle over here. So we can see that this is a straight line, and we have 68 degrees for this part. So this would just be 180 minus 68. So angle COE, that's this angle over here, is 180 minus 68, and that would be 112 degrees. So this is 112. And then we've got an isosceles triangle in the circle, because the reason for that is because these are both radiuses or radii of the circle. So they have equal length, and that makes this triangle isosceles. So this angle is the same as this angle, and we just find those by doing 180 minus 112 divided by 2. So that would be 68 over 2, so that would give 34 degrees. So each of these is 34. So we found this angle. And then this part would just be a right angle, actually, because whenever you have a tangent meeting a radius of the circle, they would always meet at 90 degrees. So that would always be a right angle when you've got a tangent and a radius. So the answer would just be 90 plus 34, and that would be 124 degrees. Okay, question 5. Express x squared plus 8x plus 15 in the form, and then it's got the completed square form for that. So to complete the square, you just half the middle number. So you open two brackets first, put a square outside, and then it would just be x plus 4. So this number is always half of this number. So if that was minus 8, that would become minus 4. And then you would just subtract the square of that. So minus 4 squared, and it would always be a minus over here, even if that was, so regardless of the sign here, that would always be a minus. So minus 4 squared plus 15, because we've still got the 15. And then that would become x plus 4 squared minus 16 plus 15. So that would otherwise state the coordinates of the turning point of the graph of x squared plus 8x plus 15. So the turning point would just have the opposite coordinate to the x coordinate, and then the y coordinate would be the same as this number over here. So it would just be minus 4 minus 1. Right. Okay, so that's question 5 done. Question 6, find the equation of the line passing through the points -3, -1, and -5, 7. Give the equation in its simplest form. So we'll start by using the gradient formula to find the gradient. So that would be 7 minus -1 over -5 minus -3. So that becomes 8 over -2, which is -4. And then we'll just use the formula for finding the equation of the line when we're given the gradient and the point on the line. So that's this formula over here. And the point I'm going to use is this one, but you can use this or any other point if you know another point on the line. So I'll just use this one. So b is -1, a is -3. So it would be y minus -1 equals the gradient, so -4, and then x minus -3. And that becomes y plus 1 equals, that would become x plus 3. And then you expand the bracket to get -4x and then -4 times 3. So that would be -12. And then we just move the 1 to the other side. So that becomes -4x minus 13. Okay, question 7. Change the subject of the formula to b. Right, so we start by multiplying by c squared. So that gives c squared d equals b plus 4. And then we just move the 4 to the other side. So b equals c squared d minus 4. Pretty straightforward. Question 8, state the value of a. So we're given a sine graph and we're trying to find a from the graph. So that would just be the amplitude of the graph, which is 3. So that means a equals 3. And then part B, state the value of b. So b is simply the horizontal squash that's happened. And to find that, you would actually just count how many cycles of the graph there would be in 360 degrees. So there's one cycle in 45 degrees. So in 360 degrees, let's just draw it out. I mean, you can technically just divide 360 by 45 to get the number of cycles in 360. So I'll do that first, actually. So 360 over 45. That would be, so I'm just going to times by 10 first, and then we'll divide, so we can cancel the 10s out, and then we'll just divide by 9, so that would be 8. So the answer would just be 8 cycles. And the other way of doing it is basically to imagine the graph extended. And then we know that there's one cycle in 45. And you would just carry on the cycles. So there would be 2 cycles in 90 degrees, 3 cycles in 135, 4 cycles in 180. And then since 180 is just half of 360, I guess you can just say it would be 4 times 2 equals 8 at this point. Question 9. The diagram shows triangle ABC. And then we've got information about the sides of the triangle. And we're told to calculate the value of cos B. Give your answer in its simplest form. So this is obviously a cosine rule question, because we've got the formula for that in the formula sheet. So it's just cos B equals a squared plus c squared minus b squared over 2ac. And that would become, so we'll just plug in the values. So this would be side A because it's opposite angle A. This would be C, this would be B. So we would get 3 squared plus 7 squared minus 5 squared over 2 times 3 times 7. And that would become, so 49 plus 9, that's 58, minus 25, that would be 28. 33, sorry. So 33 over 2 times 3 times 7. So it would be 33 over 42. And that would simplify to give 11 over 14. Tommy buys flower seeds from a website. Tommy is given a 30% discount if you pay £16.10 for the seeds. Calculate the cost of the flower seeds without the discount. So we know that this represents the price with a 30% discount. So the original value is always 100%, and then this would then be 100 minus 30. So 70% is £16.10, or just 16.1. And then we divide by 70 to get 1%. So 1% would be 16.1 over 70. And then we times by 100 to get 100%. So 16.1 over 70 times 100. And then the zeros would cancel. So we can just cancel those zeros. And then that would be 10 over 1 times this fraction. So you get 16.1 times 10 divided by 7 times 1. So that would become 161 over 7. And then this would actually simplify. So you can actually divide 161 by 7. So it would just be 23. Okay, question 11. So we're trying to simplify this indices expression. So we'll start by expanding this expression, and it would just be minus 2 times 4. So it would be m to the power of minus 8 times m to the power of minus 5. And then we just add the indices when we're multiplying. So it would be m to the power of minus 13. And then to change it to a positive power, it would just be 1 over m to the power of 13. Express 4 over x plus 2 divided by 5 over x plus 2 squared as a single fraction in its simplest form. And this is just telling you that you can't have x equals minus 2. Because if you put x equals minus 2, that means you're dividing by 0, because these become 0, and that's impossible. So that would become 4 over x plus 2 times, so you just change that to a times, and then you flip the second fraction. That's how you divide fractions. So it would be x plus 2 squared over 5. And then the x plus 2's would cancel. So you're left with 4 times x plus 2 over 5. And you can just leave it like this. You don't need to expand the numerator or anything. Expand and simplify root 10 times root 10 minus root 2 plus 8 root 5. So root 10 times root 10 is just 10. And that's actually a rule that you can just memorize. So root a times root a would always just be a. And then root 10 times minus root 2 is minus root 20, because you just multiply both numbers under the square root, plus 8 root 5. And then root 20 would actually simplify to give root 4 root 5. And then that would be minus 2 root 5 plus 8 root 5. And that would be 10 plus 6 root 5. Sketch the graph of y equals x plus 1 times x minus 3 using the axes provided below. And then we're told what to label on the graph. So to find the x and y intercept, we just set x equals y equals 0 to find the x intercept, and then x equals 0 to get the y intercept. So we'll start by doing that. So the x intercept, we would just set y equals 0. So that becomes 0. and then the equation becomes x plus 1, x plus 3 equals 0. And then that solves to give x equals -1 or -3. So those are the x-intercepts. So -1 and then -3. And then to find the y-intercept, you can just, so let's do that over here. So the y-intercept is found by setting x equals 0 this time. So if we put x equals 0 into the original equation, that would become 1, and this bracket would become -3. So you get 1 times -3, which is -3. So you end up with y equals -3. And we also need the turning point. So to get the turning point, you can actually just find the midpoint of the x-intercepts to begin with. So the midpoint would just be -3 plus -1 over 2. And that would be -4 over 2, so -2. I'll just put the y-intercept as well, so that's negative. Okay, so I've actually made a mistake. I was just thinking about why it didn't seem to work. Okay, so it's actually not +3, so I've written plus for some reason. So that would actually be a -3. And then the other x-intercept would be 3. So it would actually not look like this. So this is all wrong. So it would be -1 and 3. So -1 is here somewhere. 3 would be over here. And then the y-intercept would also be different. So it would actually, no, that would be the same. So it would be -3. So the y-intercept is still over here somewhere. So it would be -3, so somewhere in the negative y-axis. And then you would just sketch the graph like that. So that would be the y-intercept, -3. And then to find the turning point, you can actually start by finding the x-coordinate of the turning point. And that would just be the average of these. So we start by finding the midpoint. So 3 plus -1 over 2. That would be 2 divided by 2, which is 1. So that would be 1. And then you would just plug that value into the equation to get the y-coordinate of the turning point. So if we put x equals 1, that would give 1 plus 1. So that would be 2, or this bracket. That would become 1 minus 3. So that would be -2. So you've got 2 times -2, and that would give -4. So that would be -4. And you can see it's slightly lower than the x-intercept, the y-intercept of the graph. So the coordinates of the turning point are just 1, -4. And I think that's everything we were asked for. So show clearly the x-axis, y-axis. Yeah, that's all the information. I think this is the last question. Yeah, end of paper. So question 15, a triangle and rectangle are shown in the diagram. Find an expression for the area of the triangle. So the formula for area of the triangle is a half base times height. So for this triangle, the base is 3, and the height is x plus 12, so it would be a half 3 times x plus 12. And then I guess 1 over 2 times 3, that's just 3 over 1. So you just multiply those two fractions, and that would become 3 over 2 times x plus 12. And then part B, given that the area of the triangle is equal to the area of the rectangle, find algebraically the value of x. So we're told that the areas are equal. So let's start by finding an expression for the rectangle's area. So that would just be 6 times 8 minus x. So I'll just write a rectangle is 6, 8 minus x. And then we know that the two areas are equal. So area of rectangle equals area of triangle. So 3 over 2 x plus 12 equals 6, 8 minus x. And then you just multiply through by 2 to move this to the other side. So that would become 12, 8 minus x equals 3, x plus 12. And then you expand the brackets, or I guess you can just divide by 3 at this point. So that would become 4. That would become 1, or you can just ignore that. So 4 times 8 is 32. And then 4 times minus x minus 4x equals x plus 12. And then we move the 4x to the other side, and we move the 12 to the other side. So that would become 20 equals 5x. So x equals 4. And I think that's in centimeters. Yeah, so 4 centimeters.